surprised at the number of other very impressive professionals who also take a strong interest in their community and that you will be meeting with and rubbing shoulders with on a regular basis. And remember that being an exceptional volunteer does translate in the eyes of your fellow board members as the fact that you must also be an excellent lawyer. You attend the meetings, you come prepared. This says a lot about your character. So I do believe community involvement is one of the best ways that you can continue cost-effectively building your name recognition. Now there are a few resources for you that I'm identifying here. There are a few national clearinghouses that will help you identify areas in which you want to volunteer, and then the organizations that are looking for someone just like you. So I've identified a couple, and I will certainly make the slides available to all of you. But volunteermatch.org is a great place to connect people who want to volunteer with those who are in need. Now, tip number 10. This is one I have to, put the reins on because I really like to talk about this one because I think it's very impactful. Focus on the media, not on advertising. Have you ever asked your clients how they originally found you? Because more than likely, it is not going to be because of an ad that you placed in the paper or in the yellow pages. Now, obviously, there are exceptions to what I'm talking about. And if you have a practice where 90%, 80%, a significant percentage of your clients come to you because they find you through some advertising medium, then you do what works. But by and large, if you're looking at cost-effective ways in which to promote your practice, a much more credible and cost-effective way to do that is through public and media relations. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. But first, pay attention to the news media and the reporters who are covering the industries that you represent. And keep these 4 things in mind. These are PR concepts. You don't have to go out and hire an expensive public relations firm to help you with these. These are all things that you can do on your own. The first thing is keeping members of the media current on happenings at your firm through the form of regular news releases. There are many places that you can go, including Market Your Law Practice, to find templates for doing news releases that are actually going to be picked up by the media. Secondly, become a trusted source for the media. Find out who covers the areas that you have the most knowledge in and build a relationship with those editors and reporters. It may not result in a quote, it may not result in a story, but what you're doing is you're showing that you're a knowledgeable source they can consult when they're covering stories that involve your highest level of expertise. You can also develop timely and relevant story ideas, and you can pitch editors and reporters. The best way to do that is to keep your finger on the pulse of the media that is important to you and your practice as well as to your clients. And it's pretty easy to see in a story, for example, if a reporter has missed a very important element of that story. And they're not going to be offended if you pick up the phone and call them or send them an email and say there's another part to this story and I'd love an opportunity to share my thoughts with you. By and large, reporters will do that because they are not experts in each and every topic they cover, and they need to develop relationships with experts. And lawyers fill that role really easily because it's a natural transition of everything you've learned in law school, what you're doing on a day-to-day basis in your practice. So think about contacting those editors and reporters and developing a pitch on a story that you think needs to be told or an angle that needs to be shared. And then also develop specific article outlines that you think either readers, viewers, or listeners need to know. You don't have to go out. I've had lawyers over the years come into my office and say, I just wrote this 48-page article and it's really great. Can you get it published for me? I encourage you, if you have an idea for a story, to first rough it out in outline form and then float it by a few publications. But make sure that you read those publications on a regular basis or listen to that radio show on a regular basis, and that you are filling an unmet need that they have not covered, that their viewers or readers or listeners need to know. I guess what's important is to know that the results sell. And it's funny because I didn't know Norino was going to quote this article, but you know, this is a deal where I had a great piece appear in the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, and it took 2 telephone calls because we knew that the topic of marketyourlawpractice.com would be of interest to one of our business columnists who likes to focus on small businesses with innovative ideas. So the reality is results sell, and when people see you in publications, it provides a third-party credibility to your message that you just couldn't get through advertising. Now, once you get these types of results, once you achieve results in public relations, you can add them to your website. You can use them as attachments and proposals. Most publications, well, there are even companies that have formed to say, would you like a nicely framed version of this article that you're featured in? And you can put it right in your office or your lobby. You can get it in PDF form and email it to your clients or contacts. And you know, the reality here is that press coverage lives on and on. So I really encourage you, and I know I spent a little bit more time on the PR, but I just believe that that is one of the best ways for lawyers to increase their name recognition in a tight economy is by focusing on their knowledge and creating these opportunities with the news media. Now let's go into our next poll. I'd like you to answer the question, are you a member of at least, this is an easy one, are you a member of at least one trade association that attracts your prospective clients, a trade or an industry group? It's an easy one. It's a yes or no. Okay, I'm going to close the poll. This is very interesting because 39% of you are involved in an association that attracts clients, but 61% of you are not, which makes the next tip that I'm going to share with you that much more relevant, because tip number 11 for marketing your practice in a tight economy is to join a trade association and be active. Again, we're going back to your top 10 lists, and we're asking your clients and contacts and referral sources what trade or professional associations they belong to. Join one of those. I'm not suggesting that you over-association yourself by joining 5 or 6. Just pick one that you have researched and that you know pulls together a pretty solid group of prospective clients and referral sources on a regular basis. Because what you want to do then is you want to write for their publication, you want to speak at their events, you want to become the legal resource for their members. Perception is reality in the case of trade associations and lawyers, and if members of an organization or an industry group perceive that you have more knowledge of their business because you're involved in their industry group, they will hire you over other lawyers that they do not perceive know their industry. And building relationships through trade associations, I just have countless stories of lawyers who have used that as one of the key business development tools that they have. The key is you have to find the associations that don't have, you know, 60% lawyers and accountants and bankers and, you know, 40% actual prospective clients. You want to find an organization that isn't, I guess, over-lawyered or, you know, has too many professional members and not enough of the actual members. But other than that, trade association involvement, especially if you make a commitment, just like your community involvement, is just a great way to develop new business. Now on to our next polling question. You'll know exactly where I'm going with this one when you see it. This is an easy one. Do you have a profile on LinkedIn? Now, everyone should be able to click, even if you haven't participated in a poll before. It's fun because I can see the numbers as they're changing. I'm going to close the poll now, and I'm going to share it with all of you. So when asked, do you have a LinkedIn profile, 46% of you do, 54% of you do not. So let's move on to our next tip. You can imagine what my next tip is. Tip number 12 is create your LinkedIn profile. I want you to consider creating a profile on LinkedIn that really reflects you and your professional accomplishments. Let me say before moving on that out of all of the social networking sites that are out there, I truly believe that LinkedIn is the best for professionals. It isn't Facebook. Facebook is, I always say that LinkedIn is kind of the professional version of Facebook for professionals, but it's just every single day it's becoming more and more one of those activities that isn't just something that you try to figure out how you're going to do. It's sort of like websites used to be, where people really didn't have websites and it was sort of nice to have one, but you didn't need one. I feel that LinkedIn is now one of those tools that is pretty much a must-have, and it's free. So again, create a profile that reflects you. Make sure that you include your current and past positions and your education, because this really does help the right people and opportunities find you. Make sure that you add a photo. I'm always a little disappointed, like this person doesn't have a photo. If it's someone you're trying to reconnect with, you want to see their smiling face. And also add a well-written summary paragraph, because the summary paragraph about who you are and what you do, that's right here on the LinkedIn profile, should really be your elevator speech. We're going to talk a little bit more about that, but it should be complete enough that a prospective client or a referral source could gain enough information from your profile that they would feel comfortable contacting you. So it's not just a cut and paste from your bio to LinkedIn. This is a little more personal and really needs to reflect who you are. So let's talk, just like I talked a little bit more about the PR elements, I'm going to get into a little bit more depth and talk about some social networking best practices. I alluded to this on the previous slide, but make sure that you commit to building a solid profile, because each site, but here we're talking about LinkedIn, allows you to do that. Spend some time ensuring that it is complete, accurate, includes your photo. Then, and only then, should you invite your contacts to join you and extend invitations. You probably all, even the people, the 54% of you who don't have a LinkedIn profile, I'll bet you get requests all the time from people who want to link in with you, and you don't have a profile, so you just delete them or ignore them. And I'm hoping that I will compel you to change that and develop a profile. Your social networking efforts on LinkedIn should be built around your current business relationships. It's not about linking in with people that you don't know. Your LinkedIn connections should really reflect the people that you're doing business with. Okay, now don't run screaming when you see this one. Updating your status daily. Okay, I don't update my status daily, but at least if you set a goal of doing it often, knowing that it isn't something that you just go in and do once every 6 months, this is a great opportunity for you to stick to business. When you're doing your updates, what you want to do is you want to make sure that what you're talking about and what are you doing today reflects something that's directly tied to your expertise as an attorney. It's not about personal things. You need to really keep it professional. Now, one of the things that most lawyers always bring up is the fact that, well, I'm really